Hello and welcome to Patched. I'm your host Paul James. Today I'm joined by Matto Phillips. How's things, mate?
Great.
Recently, freshly ID checked at the bottle shop. So, how are you feeling being a 35-year-old considered to be sub 18?
Sub 18, and then he looked at my ID and said, "You're the oldest one I've looked at today." I thought, that's just a double insult right there.
Yeah, it's a real kick in the dick, that one. Not
Should have just walked out.
not ideal. So we've got two topics we're going to discuss today. The first, because there's been a few kind of sticking points in the industry this week, but we're going to focus on two of them specifically today. So PlayStation Plus has received a price hike worldwide, and we'll kind of jump into that shortly. And also, Embracer Group is more like kind of got more rather than being so much embracing, they're more like choke holding now some of their developers, and we've seen the first one fall. One of them has passed out under that chokehold and has gone in the form of Volition, and Gearbox has even had to lay off a few staff as well. So things aren't going super well over there. But we'll begin by talking about the PlayStation Plus price hike, and just to give context before I throw over to you, because I've already kind of had my say already. In Australian dollars for everyone's, I guess, background here, PlayStation Plus Essential, which is the basic tier, the one where you get usually about three games per month across PS4, PS5, is going to be jumping from $79.95 per year for the 12-month subscription to $95.95 per month, so about $16 for the year, which is actually no, I'll leave all my thoughts there. The extra tier, which is the one that seemingly most people are starting to gravitate towards these days, is jumping from $134.95 to $169.95. Nice. And then finally, the deluxe tier, because we don't get premium out here, the deluxe tier is going from $154.95 to $196.95. So it's jumping up by $42. And sorry, it's $35 for extra. So, Matto, I've already had a piece get published on the Player 2 website where I've gone pretty in-depth with my thoughts around the whole thing. So before I kind of jump in and I guess reiterate some of those, I'll throw it over to you first. What's the gut feel when you see these prices? And I guess where are you, for context for everyone watching and listening too, what's your subscription status with PlayStation Plus at the moment?
Mine at the moment is the top one.
Oh, you've gone deluxe as well. Okay.
I went deluxe because for one reason and one reason only, because it had classic PlayStation games. And unfortunately, I'm still waiting for those classic PlayStation games.
There's not many of them
to turn up, because we don't get PS3 games because they can't figure out how to get them to work, which is incredibly annoying for us because everyone else seems to get PS3 games. We don't, because our internet is supposedly not good enough.
And our internet actually absolutely is. Like, I stream games across my Wi-Fi, no dramas. I've had preview opportunities where games pre-launched, like say Rainbow Six Extraction, because that was kind of during COVID years. I had that game streamed to me via Ubisoft via Parsec, and that was totally fine. Outside of the fact that I had to play it on my PC, which PC gaming's for dorks. But
and I can also stream games as well at 720p, and I live in the middle of fucking nowhere, so you cannot give me the reason to say, nah, sorry, we can't give you PS3 games. Like, yeah, depending on where you live, sure. But there's other people who boast around saying, hey, look at my internet as like 1,000 megabits or 1,000 megabytes per second. And everyone's like, wow. Then they show theirs, it's like 7.
Yeah, it kind of feels like me sometimes. I'm just quietly hoping while we're talking about our quality internet that we don't have a Discord moment where the video call quality goes to shit just to suddenly say, oh, no, okay,
remind me. If that was the case.
Yeah, but so far so good. Long may that continue. So yeah, I guess what does this do for your, like, I don't know, when did you last up your subscription though, and for how long? Was it a 12-month subscription when you did it?
12 months. Mine ends on the 24th of January next year.
Oh, right, okay.
And it quite possibly could be the last time I renew it. Because there is a strong thought of just going, you know what? I'm cancelling it. Yes, so what? It's still $40 extra. But the problem with that $40 is there's nothing new added to the subscription base, the way I look at it. We don't get first-party games until, I don't know, 5 years later.
Minimum a year, but yeah. But it probably depends on the game.
Either way, take your pick. There's barely any classic games coming on there, and people complain about Nintendo Switch Online costing $60 a year, but But at least with Nintendo Switch Online, you get the classic games. It gets updated monthly, and then they just throw in. Well, the
Whatever else,
GameCube's going to
yeah.
come soon. Whenever, just put another $5 or $10 on it, and you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that because we're
And their
getting
price
a
is much lower as well to begin with.
their price is much lower, and if you get with the family, it could be even more lower if you can find some family members and go, hey, want to spend less on Nintendo?
Well, they don't go down the Netflix path and kind of, try to knock password sharing on the head. So you can just tee it up with like, what's is it 8 people in total for the family plan? So another 7 mates and just share the price 8 ways and
Yes, but the
and
thing
pay
is
only a
first,
few dollars per month, like less than
yes, but the
probably
one
about
thing you
$5 a
need
month.
first, yes, the one thing you need first to do with Nintendo Switch Online is one key thing, Switch, and
Yeah.
the Switches go out like absolute hotcakes. So of course they're not going to just jack up the price or be tight asses like Netflix because that would have been silly. And thinking, oh yeah, people won't share passwords. You kidding me? Were you around in the 2000s when LimeWire existed? No one
Yeah.
was buying CDs for $2. Of course not. That is
Yeah.
lunch money right there for some people. That's a hot dog, or was a hot dog.
Was a
back
hot
in
dog.
the day.
Damn inflation.
Not anymore. God damn, that's stupid inflation.
Um,
But
yeah, it's
yeah, I was like everyone else. I was not happy. Like especially if it went up like $5-10, wouldn't have a problem. But then they just gone, you know what? Because all those Sony ponies are idiots. They'll just try and defend it somehow. Good luck with that. Me, not a Sony pony. There's no good from it for me. It's just looking at it going, right, I just look at the good and bad. What's the good on it? There's games. So there's Games Pass. They have almost about 75% of the games already. See,
Yeah.
games on there, owned by Bethesda. That's on there. You can probably look at all the Yakuza games. They're also on Games Pass. You could probably say, I don't know if Moving Out 2's there, but it'll probably be over there soon. Who knows?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one because obviously like when we think about Microsoft or Xbox specifically, they are owned by Microsoft, and it does seem pretty well like Microsoft will never come out and admit it, which is why I think it highlights the truth in the fact that Game Pass isn't making them money. Like they're losing money on that, but they can afford to eat it because they're Microsoft. Sony can't afford to do that, and so that's why I don't think we see like the the big exclusives rock up for. It seems like random amounts of time, I don't think something like Demon's Souls or whatever's popped up, and yet Returnal and Horizon Forbidden West have. So they seem to be.
Last of Us 2 hasn't even appeared yet. That came out almost what?
2020.
Four?
Yeah.
3 years ago. Haven't even seen it. Ratchet and Clank came out this year. That was close to 3 years. 3 years.
Yeah.
PS5
2 years. 2 years.
2 years.
So yeah, they're kind of a bit patchy in that. I get that they don't want to put their AAAs in there, and that's fine. So I guess my feature piece that I put up on the website is, for the sake of kind of transparency for anyone who hasn't seen it, I said why the price hike may be a good thing. Now, I'm not. I guess it's well documented. I am a Sony pony, but like a lot of people who are kind of voicing their concerns about this at the moment, I too am having my financial troubles right now.
Yes, you are a Sony pony, but
I'm not above calling him out. I'm not above calling him out at the same time as well. And so my whole piece spoke about, like, it was very much like a pros and cons style thing. And at the end of the day, when I kind of summarize the whole thing, there's still some big ifs on this thing. And I think the way they've messaged it has been poor. I mean, vintage Sony, their messaging is poor. But I think if they'd have turned around and said, what I'm hoping and expecting to see kind of come from this as a result of them jacking up the prices is more games like Moving Out to Sea of Stars and Humanity that in the last couple of months have all been starting to pop up day and date when the game comes out and they're free straight away, which is obviously a bit more of the Game Pass model. They won't go 100% into that because they can't afford to, but it allows them to maybe engage with a few more indies and every now and then maybe a big AAA imagine if they'd have been able, because of all the money they're making, if they were able to turn around and go, okay, Final Fantasy 16 when it first came out, if you're at Extra, you get it for free. And Square Enix just takes their big fat paycheck and they're happy, but they also get whatever sales they can from those who don't subscribe to Extra. Because it turns out only about 17%, as of April, I think about 17% of subscriptions at PlayStation are Extra, and about 14%, I think, were Premium. So the majority are below those tiers. And so if they want to buy Final Fantasy 16, they're still going to have to buy it full price. So it's kind of this situation where I think if they if they had alongside this messaging about saying all the prices have gone up, they go, and now here's the announcement of everything that's coming next month, for example, to Extra or whatever. It might, and it was a really good list, and there was a few games that were coming day and date. Then suddenly people go, oh, okay, that's where my money's going, because they're able to tee up deals with other companies and get their games on board, and that seems far more appealing. Now, they might have been indie straight out the gate, but again, hopefully down the line you may be locked down in Assassin's Creed from time to time, or whatever it happens to be. I don't know, Yakuza, brand new Yakuza, straight in, whatever the case happens to be. Persona, for those people. Like, Sega's good for that sort of thing. They show that with Game Pass. So there's opportunities around that. But the problem is that they didn't announce any of that, and then at the exact same time, they announced their essential games for the month, which were pretty shit. You've got Saints Row, which more on that shortly, but the game stinks, and it's the marquee game for the month. And then you've got Black Desert, which is perfectly fine as a game, but it's not really going to appeal to that many people. I'm just double checking my essential games for this month because there was.
I can't remember what the third one was.
Yeah,
there was just a game that didn't even get finished or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm about to bring it up. Oh, and Generation Zero, which was not received well at all when it first launched. Like, people hated on it. And so when you kind of compile all those things together, like, you're not getting off to a strong start. I've just double checked. The Metacritic for Generation Zero is 51. So it's a dud.
Saints
Black
Row
Desert
would have been better.
Saints Row is not much better. Black Desert is, the best, quote unquote best in terms of review scores, best game of the month with a 75. So like, they haven't put on a stellar essential thing literally the day after they've made this announcement about the prices, and then they haven't come out and said, okay, but when we get to, what is it, the 14th, the 15th, whatever their normal days to roll over and add new games to it extra, they didn't announce a whole suite of titles to go with it. So they've kind of really minced the messaging a little bit. If they'd have shown people instantly what the advantage was for them contributing an extra $35 or $32 or whatever it is at extra, even one extra game this month at essential to offset the fact you're now paying an extra $16 a month, or here's some of the classic games that are becoming, like, they needed to get that announcement at the same time just so that people go, okay, I see what I'm spending my money on. But they didn't do it, so they completely kind of screwed that up. I think that is the path they are going to go down. I think we're going to see a much better PlayStation Plus extra tier because of this in particular, because that money's got. I mean, yes, things are tight, and there's a lot of data that's basically showing that game subscriptions, and this is across PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, everywhere, it was like a 2% growth for the year. So like, there's not, people who are in, and you're not really adding too many more people at the moment. And I feel like of that 2%, probably a decent chunk of it, probably at least half of that 2% is Xbox, because of how they're trying to expand Game Pass to PC and to mobile, and like, they're trying to build it out in lots of places. So I feel like they're probably taking the dog share of it as well. And yeah, it's probably going to spike a bit because of Starfield as well. But I mean, Xbox isn't immune in this whole thing as well, because they've gone and they've jacked their prices up recently as well, and that was right on the eve of Starfield. PlayStation's doing the same thing right on the eve of Spider-Man. So both of them are kind of, I guess, in the wrong a little bit here, because it's a pretty predatory move to drop these, like, to announce these prices. In the case of the PlayStation 1, it kicks in this coming Friday, September 6th. But it's, again, like, people are going to be, I mean, they've sold 40 million consoles so far, and the PS4 sold, I think at this point it's like 130 or something like that. So, no, 120, whatever it is. I don't know. It's a good number anyway. So there's tens of millions of people that haven't picked up a PS5 yet, that likely will down the line. And a good chunk of them are probably going to come in and buy in time for Spider-Man, and they're not going to get a chance to, like, they're going to be facing these prices straight out the gate. And that's preying on kind of the hype of brand new console, great, I'll get all the best stuff, and boom, you're locked into a nearly $200 investment straight away if you go for deluxe/premium. Also, keep in mind, we get deluxe. So if premium finally comes out, they start adding PS3 games, we're going to have to pay even more than what the current price is once premium makes its way over here, whenever that is. So it's not, yeah, I think this could be a really good thing, but they did not present it in a good way, and so people are understandably pretty pissed about it. And then there's the classics bit. Where are the classics?
Yeah, classics, yeah. But I think it's also too, they haven't had a great year with presentations as well. Their showcase wasn't great, and
there are still reports of another one potentially on the way. But yeah,
the state of play early in the year was that bad that a game got delayed, which was
yeah, true.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
think so
wasn't
far
them.
this year, I know it wasn't there, but it's sort of presentation-wise this year hasn't been great, and also put it in. Oh, hey, we'll just jack up the prices just cause, and not really have. Sort of feels like a reason why, like, hey, it's costing too much, or this or that, or we're getting this in, or whatever. But there's just, like I said, it feels like there's just zero communication on it.
Yeah.
And it just feels like one of those things we just have to find a blog, because that's what, for some reason, Sony still does.
PlayStation still loves their blog. And I'm sure it works in some areas, but not in others. And so it's at this moment that I decide that I switch my allegiance to Team Xbox. Thank you to thank you to the team for providing me a personalised Starfield jacket. And I'm going to remain wearing this for the rest of the episode now.
It just looks like those ones you see on the space movies where they go out for launch. That's what it looks like.
You even got little stars on the inside here. I've got the patch on the side. They've got, I've got Starfield on the back.
I've got to ask the question: is it made of canvas?
It's not made of canvas.
It's not made of canvas.
Microsoft did the legwork on this one, not Bethesda, as far as I know. So this was something I was it was basically a freebie given to me as a result of going to the Xbox game showcase back in June. They just signed me up to a list and like, here you go, you get it for free. So all the influencers that have been getting them kind of thrown in their fancy packs that they've been given, none of them have their gamer tag splashed across it. So anyway, so there we go. I'm on Team Xbox now. Phil, you've got me. I think I've done this a few times this year, so maybe there is a change in the winds at the moment.
Then Xbox goes and does something silly like,
and I take the piss out of it and jump back in.
Just release Redfall, and then it just absolutely goes back to shambles again. Then they just have to build themselves up. Starfield comes out. People showing like the smallest little stuff ups, like tiny little details, and just, like, where's that puddle? That's the PlayStation.
Puddle gate.
Piss off. Get off and go play whatever PlayStation games out at the moment. I can't even remember. Go play.
Spider-Man and Helldivers 2 are what we're waiting for. So we'll see how we go. And so we touched on Saints Row as being one of those PlayStation Essential tier games, and so it's probably, I'm just dragging these things together now. But we'll segue across to the other big news of the week, which is Volition, the team responsible for Saints Row, and even all the way back like Summoner and all sorts of stuff on the PS2. Embrace Group has shut them down. They've got him in a chokehold grip and suffocated the shit out of him, and that's it. The studio's done. So I guess you've got more history with the studio than I have in terms of some of the games and whatnot. So what does it mean to you to see the studio shuttered?
I think it's just sad in general that you see a studio go. It just doesn't matter what.
We don't have to like their games. You just don't want to see people out of jobs and all that sort of stuff.
I want to see people out of jobs and that. But I think Saints Row, unfortunately, did not receive well by people. Me, myself, I was excited for a reboot, this and that, and all it was the exact same game released 17 years ago with some fancy-looking graphics. That's what it felt like. It just felt like nothing new. And I know Embraceable Group's purchasing this and that, and you never know when something like it, whatever you call them. I don't even know. What would the company Embraceable Group be called?
No, Embracer Group is the Embracer Group is the overarching body, and then you've got THQ Nordic, and you've got they're the top head of the snake, and then you've got everyone else kind of spinning off that. So, I don't know. Anyway, the overall they're the Microsoft to
Rare
Xbox, to Xbox, which and then to Azure, and then to all the different branches that come off. So, it's a pretty shitty situation, and we'll couple into that the fact that Gearbox has also suffered some layoffs as well. They seem to be taking away. I mean, I guess maybe it's just the scale of the studios that is maybe what's coming to in terms of what's actually leading it to a break into the mainstream news. But it's not a good sign. Like, there could be other studios that have been hacked up a little bit as well. But like, I've seen people that I know, like Joe Hobbs, a recent Dev Diary guest who did a bunch of work with Ubisoft on Star Wars Outlaws, and he's over at Fish Labs these days under the Embracer Group banner, and he's going, oh shit, like what does that mean for my job? Like, he's not one of those affected groups, but once you start seeing the biggest names, I mean, Volition, Gearbox, and probably Crystal Dynamics are probably the biggest names that that Embracer has these days. And two of those three have been smacked around. And I feel like Crystal Dynamics is probably only safe because they're new, but also they're working with Microsoft on Perfect Dark. And so that probably keeps them in the clear for now. But like, it's not a good sign. It's a really bad sign for everyone that was bought, every studio that was bought up by the Embracer Group. And this is all. Did you catch the how and why this it led to this? By the way, like why all the studios? No. They had I can't remember how it was a multi-billion-dollar deal though fall through with the Saudi wealth fund. So that's the Saudi government, the one that's been kind of buying up shares of like SNK and bits of Nintendo and bits of this and that and the other. They had a deal fall through with them, and they'd banked on all that money. And it didn't come through because the deal fell through, and they'd probably invested a whole bunch into some of these studios that they've now had to take away. And so when you look at, say, Volition, where they've had a bad release, lots of really negative sentiment around it, cost them a lot of money to do it, probably the expectations of Embracer Group in terms of how many sales it was going to be was probably way too high as well. And then a giant sum of money that just disappears all of a sudden. They go, okay, let's cull them. That's not working. Done. And so that studio just bites the dust all of a sudden. So Embracer cannot manage their studios, cannot manage their money. Some money fell through, and they've had to, studios have started biting the bullet for it. And
well, I had trust in the Swedish.
Yeah, are they a Swedish? Embracer Group?
I think they're Swedish.
I'll double check that later.
Swedish or Scandinavian, as some thoughts. I thought they were trustworthy. That is a lie.
Embracer Group.
They could be just American. If that's the case, well, that makes perfect
sense. No, you're right. They're Swedish. They were
Swedish.
So yeah, don't the Swedes come up with IKEA? Why aren't they paying attention to their model? Or is that Switzerland?
Yeah, because you got to put that together yourself. You can't just give them the game. Can't give people the game and just say, right, build the game yourself. It don't work like that. We've seen that with GTA.
They're Swedish as well. Yeah, come on. Yeah, get IKEA management on board.
It's in the IKEA colours though.
Yeah, of course it is.
Blue and the yellow.
Yeah, the blue and yellow.
Most people don't figure
Very
that.
patriotic.
They're just looking and go, IKEA, and just move on.
Give me a Billy bookcase, all right? Damn it.
And build it for me now.
Yeah.
And you can't make them build it because if they saw what Grand Theft Auto 6 early previews were, they're just going to say, why doesn't mine look like that? Because it's not a barbecue.
Why doesn't mine look like that? Good value Simpsons reference. Yeah, I feel like if you're working at an Embracer studio right now, you probably need to be worried. But if you're an external publisher, I feel like you maybe need to be licking your lips a little bit because this could be an opportunity to go and scoop up people in terms of getting talent, but also potentially in the same way that when THQ went bust, was it 13, 14 years ago now when they first went broke, there was the fire sale and a whole bunch of studios got bought up and whatnot. So maybe there's maybe there's some opportunity for some developers and publishers, especially considering we are in a buying spree these days, that maybe a few studios could be scooped up. Maybe Crystal Dynamics can be saved from this situation before things get too bad. Actually, that's the other half of it. Also, Crystal Dynamics, like they really highlight the weirdness because they've got Microsoft's backing for Perfect Dark, but they're working with Amazon on Tomb Raider.
And mainly because they're coming in because Xbox's studio can't get their shit together, the initiative.
Yeah.
So that's lucky for them. But the Amazon thing as well.
Yeah, Amazon funding Tomb Raiders. Yeah, the whole situation is real strange. But that's probably what's keeping them afloat. The two even bigger corporate bodies are basically financing that studio at the moment, so Embracer doesn't have to worry about them. The safest place you can be if you're an Embracer right now is Crystal Dynamics, I think. But for how long? We'll wait and see.
That's a great question.
On the Saints Row side, how do you feel about potentially the future of that one now that the lead studio responsible for it over all these years is dead? And obviously the most recent game was a bit of a turd. So where do you see all things Saints Row going in the future?
I would probably say it's dead. I think it's gone. After that last release last year, think anyone's going to want to touch it,
Yeah, that's fair.
unfortunately. As much as I've been a fan of Saints Row since it first released back in, can't remember, like 2006, 2007. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while, but I just look at it and go, there's no coming back from it, unfortunately.
That's fair. Not an
Even
ideal
if you change the
situation.
name of it, but yeah. Even if THQ went and made a Saints Row look-alike game, I don't think it's just not going to be the same.
Agreed.
Even if they tried.
I will note, and this is just an interesting thing for people now. I have just I've been powering up charging my little Starfield watch that I received in my Constellation Edition, and I accidentally took it off the charger, which then prompted it to turn on. Take guess what date it's set to?
Oh no. Is it the apocalypse?
November 11th. Remember that was the intended date. I mean, that was the Skyrim date, but it was also the intended date of the game when it was supposed to launch last year.
Oh, so they haven't updated their watches. They've been
So I don't think
sitting there
the
November.
default thing has been sitting there for basically a year. I think that's
Well, maybe
fascinating
it's
bit of
just an
trivia.
Easter egg. It's just
It could be
So
a
people
little
just
Easter egg. I need to
Well,
reset the
most
time and all
people
that, but that's a fantastic little bit of trivia for everyone that I've discovered live on the show. But any other thoughts on all things Volition, Saints Row, Embracer Group, PlayStation Plus?
oh no. I just don't want to think about PlayStation Plus at the moment. It's just that's not going to hurt my brain yet because I've still got till January. I've got
Well, and also
plenty
for
of
anyone
time.
who potentially wants to stay at the tier that they're at, but wants that security for as long as possible, the prices don't change until September 6th, which is this Friday, I think it is. So if you want to pony up another 100 and whatever it is to re-up whatever your tier of subscription is at the current price, you've got about, well, as of when this goes live, you've got about 3 or 4 days left to do so. So that's an option for people as well if that's the path they want to go down.
Also, those monthly games, they better start being good.
Better. They better be better.
A lot better than what this month was because
Yeah.
this month was just. I don't know
Look,
what
they've
you
had,
call
to
it,
their credit, they've
rubbish.
had a lot of good months. I
But-
feel
but
like
they
if they'd announced this like last month, for example, when they had Death's Door and a whole bunch of other awesome games, might have been an awesome, an easier bullet to bite, but not this month. This month sucks. So, strategy PlayStation, try and apply
And
some
we're
at some
only,
point.
We're only 5 days in and it's already going to shit.
Yeah, so
But the good thing is, it is the 5th. The 6th, I fly a spaceship on Xbox. So
that's true.
suck on that,
It is
PlayStation.
true. Pony, I've jumped ship. I'm an Xbot now. All right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap things up there because Starfield needs to be played and PlayStation Plus. We might need to finance
And
PlayStation Plus
also-
before the.
And I'll say, and also finances need to be checked.
Yeah, we need to make sure. Yeah.
Paul
Yeah,
has a
that's-
$500 watch.
I didn't actually mean to retain this pre-order. I forgot, and now I'm $500 poorer. So, if you enjoyed this episode of Patch, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Visit the website player2.net.au. I will recommend my feature piece there on PlayStation Plus, where I kind of expanded. There's a deeper level of thought that's kind of gone into what I've been writing there, rather than a little bit of this off the cuff stuff that I've been throwing out today. But all the details are there. Go check them out. Let me know what you think. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au, kicking a few bucks. And then there's X/Twitter. Matto?
X, oh, that just hurts.
Yeah, it hurts.
Absolutely
It's all right.
hurts. Say X.
We've still got the Tweety Bird in the right corner though, so that's not going away anytime soon.
Maybe just put like a
Just draw a big cross over it in red.
gravestone on it or something.
Yeah,
Get Barry
possibly.
Allen from the Flash movies going.
Oh yeah.
It is Matto_Phil. It's also on Threads as well.
Yeah, cool. So go for it. Threads, one of these days, once it sorts its own shit out, will inevitably thrive in this current Twitter X environment. But
And then
until
there's
it does,
that Hive one too that everyone got on board on and then just.
I don't even worry
gave
about
up.
Hive. But Paul James Games for myself. The website's Player2AU. And until next week, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you later. Save your money.